Yeah, there is no audience waiting. Oh. Hello, everyone. Our webinar series called 5 O'Clock Tea Talk reached its 27th episode. And our guest is Dr. Patrick Williams today. Let me introduce him first. Dr. Pat Williams is an accomplished author and personal development coach who is considered one of the early pioneers of coaching. With a career spanning over 3 decades, Pat has made significant contributions to the field of coaching and has helped shape it into a respected profession. Pat's contributions to the coaching profession are numerous, and he has served on the boards of several prestigious organizations, including the International Coach Federation, ICF, where he was a past board member and co chaired the ICF Regulatory Committee. He is also a past president of ACTO, the Association of Coach Training Organizations, and an honorary VP of the Association of Coaching Psychology. Additionally, Pat is founding member of Harvard University's Institute of Coaching and was honored in 2018 as an inaugural member of the International Coaching Federation's Circle of Distinction. Dr. Pat Williams has a passion for coaching and a dedication to ensuring it remains a respected profession. His extensive experience and educational background make him a highly sought after coach trainer and expert in his field. Welcome, Dr. Pat Williams. How are you today?
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. I'm good.
And I would like to also add some personal stuff here before I go to my questions. I find out about you with an article. I was searching for coaching in the UK or coaching in the world generally for a research for Coach Magazine Global. And I came across with your article, I think it was 17 pages. And I asked your permission if I can use some parts of it because it was explaining all the things how coaching started in the world, in the UK, in the US, so brilliantly. And you were also, as a psychologist, talking about the psychological approaches, which I was so intrigued with. So this was the first time that I met you. It
Thank
was
you.
3 years ago. And then you agreed to come to our kickoff meeting for Coach Magazine Global. Thank you for that. And you wrote an article for our first issue. It was all brilliant. Thank you so much for all these things.
My pleasure.
Yeah, before I start with the questions, also, as always, I would like to encourage our audience to hit the subscribe button on our channel for more insightful sessions like this. And please don't miss out any enlightening 5 o'clock tea talks with our brilliant guests. Hit the notification bell and remember to subscribe for more great content. Visit www.thecoachmagazine.com and enjoy our quarterly magazines. And also, it will be helpful to make comments below, like, and share this video with your friends. So this is called 5 o'clock tea talk, and I would like to talk about it also. Even it's 27th episode, I've never talked about the name, why I choose this name. In Turkey, I'm Turkish. In Turkey, we have 5 o'clock tea time, really, because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter you are working, you're housewife in the house. Everybody has this routine of having 5 o'clock tea talk with cookies, beside. So I'm not a very big fan of tea. I prefer much more coffee that I have with me. But I like this routine, and it brings so much good memories for me. So I wanted to create this atmosphere with my guests here with this name. So I hope you enjoy also.
Oh, I think that's a great title. I used to write a blog, Monday Morning Musings or something, but 5 o'clock tea time is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are calling you Indiana Jones of the interior. I wonder why they describe you like this, but could you
Oh,
elaborate on what this
yes.
metaphor means to you?
Somebody gave me that name, but I guess, my life purpose statement is I'm a curious explorer. And certainly Indiana Jones in his mythological being was a curious explorer, you know. I'm certainly not going living in a box of snakes or using my whip to get through something, but Indiana, I mean, I love those movies, and I think I am an explorer about what goes on inside. So, in coaching, how do we get to the person beneath the surface? I mean, for instance, I see you're a Jungian life coach. Well, I was trained in Jungian theory way back in the 1970s, and Jung and Maslow and all those. We can talk more about this in a minute, but that would all influence me in terms of studying consciousness. That that's the Indiana Jones of the interior of coaching, is getting to the interior of the person, not just the superficial existence.
Yeah. So, like, how does it reflects your approach to coaching and personal transformation?
Well, I believe I want coaching to be more transformational than transactional. Now, not every session can be that. If somebody hires a coach to make them stick to their exercise routine or their diet, or they hire a wellness coach or a relationship coach, those are all specializations. But what I teach in my classes and in my mentoring is there's an opportunity to get beneath the surface, like snorkeling in some beautiful ocean in the world or bay. Not scuba diving where you're gonna go 100 feet deep and maybe it's a little scarier. We don't need to go that deep. We just wanna get under the surface and help the client see, like in snorkeling, when you put on goggles, "Oh, look how beautiful it is right below me. Oh, look how scary it can be. There went a shark or there went a manta ray," you know? So, it's a metaphor. I work a lot with metaphors, but the idea of going deeper into consciousness, awareness, um, what are you not yet aware of? I mean, I don't think coaching clients wanna come to coaching and talk about what they already know. They wanna talk about, um, what's where they're stuck or um, where they wanna make changes, and so that's stuff that's not known yet. You know, they're gonna explore. There's that word explore again.
Yeah. And after 15 years as a practicing therapist, you became one of the pioneers of the coaching profession. What motivated you to make that shift, and how did your experience as a psychologist influence your coaching style?
Well, I was a different psychologist than many. As a young person entering college for the first time, I took a course called Psychology of Satisfaction. This was in 1968, and I started learning about Carl Jung and Abraham Maslow and theories about human potential instead of Freud's theories or B.F. Skinner's theories about humans being um, predictable and I mean, it just wasn't fulfilling enough. I think Carl Jung has a quote. He looks outside dreams. Who looks inside transposes, transforms. And that's what it's about. So my early psychology training was in humanistic and transpersonal psychology. I went to Esalen Institute in California when I was 19 and 20, and that's a very prominent personal growth center um, back in the early days, and that influenced me. So when I became a psychologist, I really didn't want to give people diagnoses and treat them as somebody with broken, but like, who are they wanting to become? And so that moved me to coaching. I started doing executive coaching with companies like IBM and Hewlett Packard and Kodak back when they were a filmmaking, camera making corporation. And then in 1995, I heard about this coaching movement kind of starting with Thomas Leonard on the East Coast and uh, Coach Training Institute. So I was one of the early adapters of that whole model, thinking this is way better for many people than psychotherapy. Nothing wrong with psychotherapy, but not everybody needed it. And coaching is a conversation to help the client think what they've not thought and say what they've not said out loud with a committed listener, and that's the coach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure coming from a psychologist background help you much more in your coaching experience.
It did in some ways. Now, a lot of the psychologists I trained early on had trouble letting go of the expert mentality. Like, oh, I'm
Okay.
supposed to know stuff. Well, you don't know what you think you know. Each person is different. So, my brother, who's a lawyer, read my first book and he said, "Oh, man, so you coaches are getting paid for asking questions you don't know the answer to." And then he said, "As lawyers, we only want to ask questions we already know the answer to. We don't want to be surprised, right?" But I
Yeah.
do want to be surprised. I want my client to be surprised. I want excitement to come from what could be, not what is true now. So,
Yes. And as a founding member of the International Coach Federation and a trailblazer in creating coach training programs, how do you see the role of formalized coach education evolving in today's world?
oh boy, the word evolve is great because when I started, I helped start the ICF in 96 and it became formal in 97. There were there were training courses in coaching from a couple of entities and they were good, but they were all influenced from other personal growth occurrences before that, like landmark education, Earhart seminars training, Gestalt psychology. A lot of that was influencing, and Rogerian, Carl Rogers' client centered approach, a lot of that was influencing coaching. A lot of that's in the article I sent you on the influence of psychological theorists. But I also think there was learning from adult education, adult learning theory, um, sports psychology, anything that helped people change purposefully, help them become more than they are. In fact, I say helping them live beyond mediocrity. Do not settle for being mediocre. You can be much greater, and you have a purpose on this life to become who you're meant to be. So that philosophy helped me help write some of the first competencies of the ICF, and they since grew since then. Um, ICF was just, I mean, I joined the first conference, there was like 187 of us, and the next one 300, the next one 500, the next one 700. And then I went to international conferences. I started a training school in Istanbul. We had one Korea, China, but I sold my school in 2012, and there's so many schools now that, oh man, I mean, we're still represented in Istanbul. Institute of Life Coach Training was my school, and there's a program for that there. Very proud of that. And today, if people don't know this, is Seda, did I pronounce that Seda? Is that correct?
Seda.
Seda,
Mhm.
Seda, is there's 60,000 ICF certified coaches in 177 countries.
Mhm.
Now, I don't think I ever predicted that would have happened. I'm pleased to see that.
Still, world needs more of the coaches around the world.
Yeah, because I
Yes.
think I think coaching can help with a lot of things, conflict resolution, peace, all sorts of things, but it all starts with inner peace in the people we're working with.
Yeah. That brings me to the next question. Your book and the program called Getting Naked with Your Clothes On focus on guiding people
Yeah,
toward reclaiming their power and
yeah.
pursuing their purpose. Could you share a key principle or exercise from this program that has had the most impact on participants?
Yeah, so that book was written my other books were co-authored. I got 6 books actually on coaching theory and practice, and some of them become second, third editions, so that's been great. But this is one I always wanted to write for myself. It's about the importance of self-disclosure and authenticity at the right time, the right place, and with the right person. So that's why I call it getting naked. It's getting emotionally naked. It feels like you're disrobing. It feels like you're visible, right? But it's like, who can you trust to share something with another person and not feel destroyed by that? So there's one
Mhm.
exercise in the book I really like, and I'll tell you what it is. It's 6 steps. They all start with an R. One is called recall. Remember a belief or an experience that causes you to keep it hidden. What's something about your past, your life, or a hurt that you don't share with anybody? It's in your shadow, as Jung would say, right? And the second one, so there's recall. The second one is reflect. Consider it. What happened? Who was there? How did it affect you? So just reflect on the story and then reveal that on paper. Write about it, journal about it. What are your thoughts? Just free flow. Now, those are all 3 steps easy to do by yourself. Then comes the, um, I don't want to say scary, but then comes the more important start. Share with somebody else, reveal to another. So that's the fourth R: recall, reflect, reveal on paper, and then reveal to another. Who can you share your story with? Who can you trust will listen with suspended judgment and accepting you fully? And then the last two are reboot. After you shared your with a trusted other, imagine you're rebooting your memory just like in a computer. Just unplug, reboot, get things clear, right? Let it defragment. There's another metaphor from computers, and safely put away this thought that doesn't serve you anymore. And then lastly, there's restart. Get back on your journey to your future starting now. You have achieved a clean restart to redefine your story. So the crux of that, Siddha, is we can have memories, but they don't have to feel like they're present now. Something happened to us as a young child. Our parents got divorced. I lost my dad at a young age, whatever. Or veterans. I worked a lot with veterans of the various wars, and the healing happened when they could see their awful experience as a memory, not as a live, it's happening now. It's a memory, and you don't need to listen to it all the time, but it becomes just a memory and it's in the past. So you can move beyond it. So that's what Getting Naked's about. And there's various chapters on the workplace, on relationships, on growing older. My favorite chapter is Your Shadow, Don't Leave Home Without It, because we talk a lot about the concept of the shadow is not always awful. There's just things that need a light shined on them. Some dream you gave up on, or something that haunts you a little bit, that if you tell the story, it loses its power.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, when you talk about shadow and the past experiences, it all brings me to the Jungian coaching, of course. People are asking me if I'm a Jungian coach, if I'm doing a psychological work, and I never do a psychological work. I didn't study psychology, but in the coaching area, we are dealing with the future, right? But
yeah,
how we can look at the future before we know how we became this today's person. So we need to look back a little bit. We need to understand us
right.
as a person wholly with all of our downs and ups and strengths and weaknesses, everything. Then we can, with strong steps, go towards our purpose for our future. So I'm so glad that you bring this up. What do you think about this?
Well, Carl Jung is one of my heroes who never knew me because he probably dead by the time I studied him. But his philosophy, I mean, he was an early Freudian colleague of Freud's, but they broke apart because Jung believed more in the spiritualism, the um, super unconscious, the collective unconscious, that we weren't just controlled. I don't mean to discredit Freud in the simple way, but Freud basically covered 2 issues: sex and aggression. And it was like we all had these things that we had to deal with our whole life. And Jung was more like, we're called to life purpose. I think he said after age 50, life begins, because everything up to that point was a rehearsal. That's a Jung. That's a Jung quote. And I love that he got into collective unconscious, but he also wrote a lot about his own pain, being a wounded healer. I mean, if anybody's ever looked at his Red Book, which I have a copy of, wow, that was like several years of self-analysis that he did. But he was just curious, and he studied every culture there was. I think he read probably every book that was available on indigenous cultures and different societies, and he visited a lot of them. Like, where's the similarity to human consciousness? Now, where does that relate to coaching? Well, I'm not going to get into a deep discussion with my clients about that, but I believe that they're part of a greater whole, and we've all got a individual purpose, and we're probably connected to a larger unconscious connection. The words are hard to find, but that life is more than just living our day-to-day life.
Yeah. So you also have a philanthropic initiative, Coaching in Global Village, brought the coaching approach to resource poor communities and diverse populations. What unique challenges and insights did you encounter in these settings, and how has this work shaped your perspective on coaching?
Oh, yeah, I started that in 2005. I just had this idea. Wouldn't it be great if the power of coaching could be available to those who otherwise couldn't afford it or or benefit from it? So I got a small grant and got a board of directors, and we started getting other grants and did things in Africa and Tibet with the schools, and um, Haiti and French with a rehabilitation hospital. Um, a lot in America we did with uh, what's it called, AmeriCorps instead of Peace Corps, the AmeriCorps. So there was a lot of great uses I saw for just learning the basics of coaching to help underserved societies or developing countries to begin having a conversation on what's possible. What do we need? Instead of looking for help everywhere else, is how can we solve some of this at the local level? It went very well for a while, and then I just couldn't. I'm not a fundraiser. I didn't have any money on my board, so I had to like let it go in 2012. I think we even did coaching in federal prisons and Native American or First Nation in Canada. But the content is being used now by the American Society of Psychosynthesis. If you know, I mean, Roberto Ascioli, who started psychosynthesis, was another colleague of Freud's, I mean, Jung's, way back when. And it's a very whole person spiritual approach. So I won't say anything more except I've turned over all my content to them, and I'm going to be giving a keynote speech in New York next July to the American Association of Psychosynthesis about
Mhm.
peace in the world, creating
Yes.
social synthesis. Yeah.
Great. Is it available to everyone, or is it going to be on
Yeah.
online?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It'll,
I
it's
would
not,
like to listen
it,
to that.
yeah, it's not announced yet, but it will be very
Mhm.
shortly as they line up speakers. So,
Great. My eyes is on that. So
yeah,
this brings
make
me.
sure you go to the website. I think it's AAP, American Association of Psychosynthesis, or if I'm wrong, I'll correct that. But
Association of Psychosynthesis. Okay, I will check. Thank you so much. Yes, this will bring me to my last question. With decades of experience as a coach, educator, and thought leader, where do you see the coaching industry heading in the next 10 years? And what would you advise aspiring coaches who want to make a meaningful impact in this field?
well, you asked me earlier, and I didn't answer it about the importance of coach education. I think it's crucial. Anybody can call themselves a coach. It's not licensed, right? But anybody can call themselves a consultant or they can call themselves a house painter. It doesn't mean they're good at it. So the coach education is important. And the International Coach Federation, the European Mentoring and Coach Council, there's other groups that are promoting professionalism and measurable quality in coaching. Um, like my wife only helps certify master certified coaches. That's what she does. Mentors them, teaches others how to mentor them, how to take your coaching to a masterful level. There's nothing wrong with being a PCC or an ACC. You'll do good coaching, but if you want to do great coaching, you continue to improve yourself. So that's where I see coaching going in the next 10 years is what's the continual improvement and evolution of us as individual coaches, and what's the continual evolution and growth of the profession in terms of the general public understanding it. I mean, psychology wasn't understood for years. Oh, I see a therapist. Oh God, they're going to know my secret language, or they're going, you know, there was always a trepidation or a stigma about seeking help. Coaching is not about the help metaphor. It's a partnership in life exploration. And I think that attracts a lot more people.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. For like 100 years, psychology isn't accepted as a science, right? As a field
Yeah,
in science, but it was. It's finally accepted, and it now is coaching. Coaching is very new area in our lives. Well, it is. It's been 40 to 50 years around, right? But what is it? Common in like last 20 years, probably.
right.
And yeah, from now on it will be more crucial after the AI came into
Yeah,
our
yeah.
life.
Well, it's in my here's my philosophy on so psychology was meant to be psychotherapy was meant to be an art of conversation, an art of helping, an art of life change, and it somehow we got embraced in the science model, and you can't put everything down in a science formula that says, "Oh, this person's got depression. Here's what they need." No, I mean, there's a lot of good research in psychology that helps, and there's great research in coaching today that helps, knowing what helps people change. But the fact that the International Coach Federation calls it the art and science of coaching, it's a mixture.
Mhm.
That we have things today that prove like emotions. Emotions in coaching 20 years ago was like, oh no, 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 don't go there. Don't emotions shouldn't come in coaching. But in my third edition of my book, I have a whole couple of chapters on emotions and the research that emotions really are emotion, energy in motion. There's neurological research today that say if you express some sadness that you're having, this part of the brain lights up, and then it changes, and this part of the brain lights up differently in 10 minutes. Sharing a story about something and feeling better, your brain lights up differently. So emotions don't have to be something you're stuck with. They need to be expressed with a committed listener, and that's a coach. And emotions doesn't mean everybody wants to cry and they're real depressed. Emotions can be excitement. Emotions can be fear of this new job. Emotions can be um, I cry because
Acceptance.
I'm excited, but I don't know what to do. So you need to have a coaching conversation when you can be your real self, and that's what my Getting Naked book is about. Is becoming real.
Yes, we encourage our audience to go get themselves a copy of it and read it and find out what's written. And thank you so much. Is there any last message that you would like to give to our audience?
Well, I mean, this is what I love about coaching, how international it became. Even before Zoom, I learned a lot of my coaching by telephonic calls, 10 or 12 people on a call at the same time. I coached for 20 years by telephone only. I
Wow.
like Zoom, especially in groups, but I think sometimes you can pay more attention without the visual. So there's something for people to experiment with. If your client you can all sign into Zoom and we can turn off our video and just see how different it is. If you don't look at the world map behind me and what's on that table back there, and we get a little visually distracted instead of just paying attention. And that competency in ICF is presence. So what helps you stay present and be present with your clients?
Thank you. This is your last message. And I like the way of calling coaching by ICF is art and science of coaching is my takeaway from this call. I will think about it.
Good.
I am so grateful that you accepted my invitation. So glad that you came and share your 30 minutes of your life from your morning. So glad. And I would like to collaborate with you more in the future with more of your articles, maybe more of podcasts, whatever you would
Yeah,
like
well,
to
I've got it.
contribute.
I'll send you an article. You can tell me later how many words you want and everything, but my focus now is on the rise of the new elder, somebody over 60. What are they doing with their life to be purposeful? And how can the word elder be revered and relevant again, like it is in indigenous cultures around the world? Elder was revered instead of just being somebody becomes old and goes to a nursing home or moves to Florida and plays golf or something. It's like, you've got to be purposeful and involved in your community in some way, and that's what keeps you vital. So I'm all about eldering these days and modern elder.
That will be great. Our I think 11th issue or the 10th issue is, yeah, we are going to publish our 10th issue these days at the end of this month or February, and our 11th issue is going to be in April, so you might send your article until the March
Okay.
15th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you also our audience who listened to us until this point. I would like to again remind our listeners and audience readers to subscribe to our channel and don't miss out any enlightening 5 o'clock tea talks or articles, issues of our Coach magazine. Don't forget to check in with us. You can follow us from Instagram and LinkedIn. Thank you so much for this beautiful
Thank you,
conversation.
Bob. Loved it.
Me too. Bye.
We'll be in touch.
Yes. Keep in touch, please.